Yo, what is up guys, it's your boy Woods, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how you can play more aggressively on console and start to W key your opponent and win more of those fights. Myself personally, I always used to be a very scared player when it came to fighting anyone, but using these tips recently I've managed to overcome that fear, and everyone I see I can manage to W key, but the important thing is that I win every single one of the fights that I take. Now if this sounds similar to you, then make sure to watch the whole video to soak up all the tips, but also if you are new around here, then I'm a console tip YouTuber, so if you do play Fortnite and you are on controller, then make sure to subscribe to me, as I actually let my fans request their own videos. Here are actually some of the recent videos my fans requested themselves. What you gotta do to get a tip video personally made for you is subscribe to my channel with notifications on, and then be early on a video and request it so I can see your comment and heart it and reply. Also, let's go ahead and shoot for 500 likes on today's video, guys. I know we can do it, so everyone go down there right now and drop a like. Come on, go do it right now. Also, I want everyone to go down to the comments and comment if you use an Xbox controller or PS4 and which one you think is better. Alright, but now let's jump straight into some of the tips. Now, the first thing we always have to understand is that ping is going to play a massive factor when it comes to actually playing aggressively in Fortnite. Now, why this is because a lot of the aggressive factors is taking people's walls. Now, to take a wall, most of the time you know people with 0 ping that they like to go around and take walls. However, if you do not have 0 ping, then don't worry, because I'll get into how you can actually perform well with a higher ping in just a minute. But anyways, I want you guys to focus and think about when you guys play a public match of Fortnite, what sort of ping do you get? Now, there's going to be 3 different categories that you can be put into. The 0 to 25 ping range, which I would personally class as a low ping. And then you want to go ahead and have an above 50 ping range, so that's quite a high ping. And then if you have around the 25 to 45 ping range, then that means that you're kind of a medium player. Now that we've actually justified which category that you guys fit into, we now need to give you the tips for each of them specialized. So let's go ahead and jump into the actual ones for the 0 to 25 ping, which is the low ping range, which most of the population of Fortnite play. So what we're going to be taking advantage of to play aggressively is taking walls and spraying through builds. But you might be sitting there scratching your heads currently thinking, how do I actually get into a box or take a wall? Well, I actually have a video linked in the description, which will be a box fighting technique video where you can actually teach you how to get walls. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next ping category. So let's say that you're now on the high ping side of things and you're above 50 sort of ping. So what you're going to have to start to do is actually outsmart enemies. Now, how can you actually outsmart enemies? Well, this means that we can't exactly play aggressively how we might want to, and you guys may all want to just jump into a box with an SMG and go crazy, but 9 times out of 10, if you have a bad ping, then this will not work because you won't be able to phase through the wall or take the wall in the first place. So what you're going to have to go ahead and do is focus on chip damage at the start of a fight, and before you even get to the fight, we're all on console and we'll control the players. So when you first go into a fight, spray the other player as much as you can with an AR to get chip damage, and then when he is weak and he is miniing up, that is your time that you need to go in. So play smarter, guys, if you are in a higher ping. But what if you actually in the different range when you're in the 20 to 45 ping range? Well, the 25 to 45 ping range is actually a bit of a weird one, and you guys are actually pretty special because you're not actually a high ping player, but you're also not a super low ping player. But you can take advantages of using both of them. When you first enter into a fight and you see the other person, you want to go in expecting that you have a lower ping than the other person and play confident as possible. If you realize that you can't take his walls and he has better ping than you, then that's when you go ahead and switch back to the outplaying strategy where you play smarter and you bring the fight back and then you try and get some chip damage on. SMGs do way more damage than shotguns do on a console because you have aim assist and you're most likely to hit every single one of your shots. So please, if you are playing aggressively, use that SMG, guys, because we are all console players and we can use that to our advantage. But these next set of tips are actually some things that are mistakes that people make when they are trying to play aggressive and they don't quite understand the idea of playing aggressive. Now, when you go ahead and actually play aggressive, you don't have to take every fight you see, and you should evaluate the fights that you want to actually take, and you do not always have to finish your fights. And in some situations, it's just out of your control. Perhaps you're fighting someone and you get sniped in the back from someone 100 meters down the road. That is not your fault, and sometimes you need to evaluate the situation and realize that I don't need to be an idiot here, and I can back up and go take a shield. So that's one of the first mistakes people make, but also the second mistake someone makes is turning into a mindless zombie. Now, what a mindless zombie is, as also some people like to call them, is brain dead controller players. Now, what these sort of players are is they have no clue in the world, they just know they've got an SMG and aim assist on their side, and they just jump into everyone's boxes and spray them. Now, keyboard and mouse players used to die to this, but nowadays, unfortunately, they're kind of adapting to this, so this sort of playstyle does not work. So to get around this, what you guys need to be making sure that you do is you do not get tunnel vision. How you can prevent yourself getting tunnel vision is by playing things like zone wars, where you have a lot of people trying to kill you at one time, so you can focus at fighting lots of different people at once. My next really important tip is actually finding 2 things that actually make you feel good about a fight. And now, feeling good about a fight is quite a weird thing to say, but sometimes you get the vibe of if you think that the fight is going to go well. And that is the exact thing that you need to be looking for if you want to play aggressive. So for me personally, I always look for 2 things when I go into a fight, and so should you. When you go into a fight, do you think that you have the better guns than the other person and you think that you can take them on? For example, if you spawn in and you have a grey tack, possibly you want to look for a bit more loot before you go to fight the other person, because the worst thing you can do is giant W key anyone with really bad loot. The second thing is positioning. Perhaps considering re-engaging the fight, try to re-engage the fight by rotating around a mountain and coming up at a point that he can't spray you from down below, because you should never W key someone that have high ground over you and you're coming from the low ground, because most of the time if you're just being mindless and W keying into them, they'll just spray you with an SMG from up top and you'll most likely lose all your health before you can even actually play aggressively onto them. So make sure you always have that reposition so you have a fair fight before going into it, so you can jump onto them and play aggressive. Now, a lot of you may not always come into these situations where it's a fair fight. So rolling into the next tip, what a fair fight can sometimes be is where you just have a 1v1 against a player where you both go at it with 200 shield each, and it's usually around a fair fight. But most of the time in Fortnite, that never actually happens, and there's usually a lot of interference, perhaps with other players or just terrain and anything that can alter the fight and make it unfair. Now, if you ever get into a situation where you've got a third partier spraying on you when you're trying to W key, because this is the very common thing, a lot of players will actually look for someone that is W keying and try and spray them in the back, because a lot of the people get focused on the person they're trying to play aggressively on. So you always have to make sure that if you ever get someone else come into the fight, the best thing to do is just to drop down and lower the aggressive levels just for the moment being. Drop down, take a shield or 2 and try and get out of that fight. Let those 2 players fight it out, and then by the time they've finished the fight, depending on if you're playing arena or public matches, most of the time they'll be weak after the fight. Then you go back in more aggressive than ever, have your shields popped, and then that is when you can go fight it. Never, if you're getting third party, that is the worst time to play aggressively, because you will not play smart at all. Now, this next thing is actually having a good mindset. Now, don't get me wrong, I used to think this was absolutely worthless, and I used to never think that having a mindset actually changed your performance in game. However, you have to realize that having a good mindset can sometimes actually make you feel more confident than the other player and give you a lot more pressure to put onto the other player. For example, NRG Ronaldo recently was playing in the FNCS finals for solos. He actually had a couple bad games and he played bad, and it lowered his mentality. From there onwards, he played really bad. So as you can see, you can take these examples into account, that if you continue to keep your mentality up high, and even being cocky sometimes can actually help you win fights. Because if you believe that you're the better player 100% and you have a little bit of cockiness in you and confidence, then sometimes that can actually help you think that you are the better player even if you are not. Now, I sometimes go against some big pros, but I can still perform well because I believe that I'm the better player, and by doing this and by putting enough pressure onto someone else, it makes them turn from a pro into an average player. This is when you can go ahead and play aggressively and get the win. But anyways guys, if you have enjoyed today's video and you are still watching, then make sure to go ahead and subscribe with notifications. We're actually super close to 100,000 subs, so I'd appreciate that a lot. Also make sure to go ahead and drop a like, as we are going for 500 likes on today's video, so I'd appreciate that a lot. Also remember to go ahead and comment if you'd rather a Xbox or PS4 controller. Anyways guys, check out another one of my tip videos and learn even more, and I'll see you guys on another video. Peace guys.